Well, this is Megan from I Run Far, and I'm here outside of Ithaca, New York with Chicago, Illinois' Matt Flaherty. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a jolly good morning here. I think it's still before 8 a.m. and it's a rainy morning under the greenscape of Ithaca, New York. We're here for the Cayuga Trails 50, in which Matt will be participating tomorrow morning. How you doing?
Doing well, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have an okay sleep here in this camp under the rain last night?
I did. It was great. I don't know when the last time I camped is, unfortunately, and it was kind of like camping. It was that great white noise of like raindrops and some forest sounds, birds early on. It was nice.
You said you live just outside the Loop in Chicago, so you're probably not used to the birds chirping and the squirrels squawking at each other.
Not too much, no. I'm more in the neighborhood now than I used to be. I used to just have like sirens all night long where I was living, but not too much flora or fauna in the city now.
Cool. Well, you, I learned last night, are one of these recovering trail running lawyers. And you've now turned to what sounds like a multitude of careers. So tell us a little bit about Matt Flaherty.
Sure. As far as the law background, I graduated law school in 2010, ended up practicing for about 2 years in Chicago. So I was in patent litigation at a firm called Winston & Strawn, pretty big private practice law firm. And that was, I got some good experience there, enjoyed my time, but it was just getting busier and busier. And my trail running was going, and running generally, including the marathon, started to go pretty well in 2011. I kind of saw what I thought I could do in the sport slipping out of my hands. It was kind of choose which road you want to go down. I could continue on the path I was on at the firm I was at, but if I did that, I knew the running ambitions were kind of over. So I took a leap and quit my job, and that was right after I joined Salomon. That was early last year, planning on kind of going at things full bore last year, but as fate would have it, I got an Achilles injury 2 weeks after I quit my job. So ended up injured basically all of last year, about 9 or 10 months I was out. I've been running consistently since right at the end of last year, December. So about 6 months into it now, and things are going fairly well. I still don't feel great all the time in my training, but I've been racing at a decent level. I'm feeling more competitive every month, so that's good. As far as what I'm doing now, I do work part-time at a running store, Fleet Feet in Chicago. And then I also do some personal coaching. Have just a handful of clients right now, sort of like one-on-one, internet phone-based, though some of my clients are in Chicago, and we see each other face-to-face as well. And also have done just a small amount of writing and want to do some more of that as well. I really enjoy it. I think, running journalism is interesting, and there's a cool space for it, especially with the multimedia aspect, and obviously there's still print journalism going on, though that's changing and evolving as well. Interesting stuff, though. Definitely interested in it.
Cool. So you mentioned an injury, and that seems to be sort of one of the things that happens to runners when they quit their full-time job and they decide to be a runner. Is one of the first things that they experience is an injury or overtraining. You aren't different in that way. Was that just totally happenstance, or did you quit your job and run 175 miles?
Oh, it was happenstance. Yeah, I'm different perhaps in the way it happens. So I tend to be very durable, which is quite an advantage, as you know, in distance running. And I haven't had an overuse injury since I was 14 years old, actually.
Wow.
This Achilles issue happened from a cycling accident while I was commuting in Chicago. Back from the grocery store, I hit like a bad pothole. So I kind of got wrenched. I put my foot down to keep from falling, and the pedal jammed straight in the back of my Achilles. So kind of this blunt trauma to the Achilles, and ended up having a bit of some degenerative tissue there, and then also just this chronic inflammation issue underneath the Achilles, which took quite a while to get resolved. And I would say I'm 99.9% now. It hurts when I dig into it, like with massage, but otherwise, good to go. Training isn't hindered at all.
You're good to go.
So, yeah.
You touch on another interesting thing that I hear pro runners or running-focused athletes talk about is that if your job is your running, then you become totally dependable on this creature that could fail you at any minute, even with like a random curve issue in Chicago.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate timing and perhaps a rude awakening, and picture of how it might be, when you can get injured, and so I think it's my thought on all of this with my coaching and desire to do some writing and that stuff. I think it's all sort of synergistic and mutually reinforcing in terms of a career aspect in the sport. But I love all of those things too. Even if I wasn't running at a high level, I would want to be coaching. I have been coaching athletes for 5 or 6 years, and it's something I really, really dig. So I think of it all as, sort of part of the same equation. There's no, unlike, say a basketball career or a football career, you sign a contract, you make several million a year, and that's your source of income. And as a runner, sure, there's a few people, making salary enough to live on in this sport, but the numbers aren't many. So there's no real roadmap there. You got to figure out a way to cobble it together from, other areas of the sport, or something else altogether, whether it's a part-time job somewhere else or whatever. But
I'm still thinking that if you win a little bit of cash this weekend, maybe you should invest in some bubble wrap from Office Depot to like cover yourself when you go out and about.
Yeah.
Save this body.
Rep.
So let's talk about this weekend. We're here in Ithaca for the Cayuga Trails 50. This is a brand new 50-mile race, so happened for the first time put on by Finger Lakes Running Company's Ian Golden. Do you know anything about Ithaca? Have you been here before? Never been here. Never really been to New York. Okay.
Basically, I've heard good things about Ithaca. Yeah. I've heard it's a gorgeous area, and definitely, as you can tell, even looking around us here. So definitely looking forward to checking out the trails this morning and more extensively tomorrow. And also just here for the good competition. That was what excited me initially when Ian contacted me last year about the race, kind of telling me who he had lined up and who he was asking to come, and that's why I race, for the good competition. If I was just interested in a day on the trails, I could go do that by myself somewhere. So yeah. I want to run against top guys, and that's definitely part of the appeal of being here this weekend.
So you have I think both speed on the trails and both speed on the roads. You just set a, if I can get this right, 51:11 10-mile PR. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty fast pace. And then you also won American River earlier this year. So you proved yourself, or you are proving yourself, both like road speed and ability to do stuff on ups and downs and twists and turns. Is that going to work to your advantage, or what's your plan with what your skill set to be for tomorrow?
Sure. Somebody was asking me yesterday after the panel discussion what I think about sort of base level fitness, like if getting faster at the short stuff is going to help you. And my answer was simply yes. The fitter you are, the faster everything becomes. If you're, for instance, in American River, I ran that race starts on a bike path for the first 20 so miles, and I was running 6:20 pace or so through there. If I wasn't fit enough to be able to run, 5:30 pace in a marathon, I couldn't run 6:20 pace for the first half of that race before hitting the trails. And I fell apart a little bit at the end of that race, and part of that was, I think, just the fact that I'd only been running about 3 or 4 months. Just still didn't really have the legs under me. So the speed aspect, to the extent that I have any speed, does help for sure, I think. So keeping that in mind, when you hit flat stretches tomorrow and very runnable stretches, I would definitely try to take advantage of that a bit. I don't feel like I'm bad technically. I could certainly use some more practice, as I don't get it too often.
Downtown Chicago.
No.
Crawling up flights of stairs.
Sure, I do run off the trail or a lot instead of the lakefront path. I just run on the grass on the side. Uh-huh. So I do get some nice, or in the boulevards near my house. So I get some nice sort of ankle strengthening, that sort of stuff, but not real varied trade. Nothing actually technical. But I'm going to try to be conservative too. 50 miles is a long way, and if you just try to use your speed and run hard from the start, it'll cost you. I've been there too. So it's definitely, 50 miles equalizes things a lot between somebody with, say, a marathon time or a 10-mile time or whatever that's a little quicker than some of the other guys. So I'm not by any means thinking I'm a step above. We've all got a different skill set in trail ultra running, and each section of the course and each type of course plays into different strengths. And I know some of the guys out here, like Ben Nephew, who I'm staying with, knows these northeast coast trails well, and is a good technical runner. And I'm not counting, any guys out of the race by any means.
So, given what you do know about the course, and given what you do know about who's going to be there with you in the morning, last question for you: how do you see the race playing out?
It's hard to say what anyone else is going to do. Like I said, I need to stay at least a little bit conservative with it. If Sage takes off quickly, I'm not going to chase him. I'll run what's comfortable for me and let him go. And I guess that goes for just about anybody. It'd be great if I could run with some people for a while. That's always much more fun to spend at least part of your day running with some folks. So, you know, Jordan isn't in yet. I think he's getting in today, Jordan McDougall. And we got to run together real briefly at the North Face Championships a year and a half ago. We kind of talked on the trails. We were both having a rough day. And I think he's someone that I could see myself sort of running with for quite a while. I think we're sort of similarly positioned in terms of our skill sets. But, you know, really any of the guys out there, Yassine or, you know, anyone else who's here. I'd love to run with some guys early. But, yeah, stay conservative and, you know, second half of the race, you know, go after it with whatever I have left and kind of just try to be tough and see what I can do.
So the prize money goes toward you at the finish, but there's also some in-race crems, like, you know, races for running a section quicker than anybody else, or going out and building a lead on the eventual winner. There's some bonuses for doing some kind of funny strategical things in race. Are you going to play with any of that money, or are you going for the cash at the end?
I might, you know, and some of it's not bad. I think there's a couple that are maybe like $500 or something, or close to it, or a couple hundred, and it's like, I can like cover a cost of a flight, you know? So I need to review the list today and at least have them in mind to where if I'm positioned at some point in the race where it's not going to cost me too much to chase to the top of a hill to be the first there or something, I can see myself going after a few. It's kind of, it adds an interesting element to the race for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be really fun to watch and see how those things play out. If you know, somebody doesn't think that they can win the race, but thinks that they can, I don't know, rack up a few extra dollars cash. It's kind of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And we'll see you out on the trail.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay.